I'm David Levin, and welcome to another episode of Pop Goes the Culture, the behind-the-scenes TV stories you wouldn't have known from the stars who were there. Today, the great Ed Asner and I get back to a story from an earlier episode, but we got sidetracked, about Season 2 of Lou Grant. This is the final chapter of our in-depth conversation, so if you're a completist, you have to watch it, right?
Before earlier, you were talking about the shaving yourself, and we didn't get the finish of that story. If you could tell me when you cut yourself shaving.
Oh, I didn't finish it?
You did, but we ran out of tape just at the end of that. Sorry.
So with this consternation and angst I felt in terms of my character, comes the second year, we won a lot of awards, and it's time to go back to the first year. My wife was in the East. My kids were home with me. I'm late for work as usual. I reach for my razor, which is partially open, and I start on my left sideburn, and I cut a flap of skin down. I scream bloody murder. My daughter at the other end of the house comes saying, "Are you all right?" I said, "No." Call St. Joseph Hospital, race down to St. Joseph, wait for an excellent plastic surgeon who sewed me up, put 20 stitches in, and I worked that afternoon on the show, and put a piece of tape, a Band-Aid, on the cut, and everybody says, what'd you do? And I said, I wanted to save time coming to work, so I was shaving in the shower and I slipped. But I honestly always felt that the angst I was feeling about that character and concern about the show, this was an unconscious way of not going to work that morning. I don't know.
Is there particular episodes and that show really sort of had some real meaning to it? Were there episodes that you're particularly proud of Lou Grant?
Oh, sure. Absolutely. The first show was a beauty, coming to town as a loser. It was a lovely show, and they had a hard time creating shows for me, and that's one of the things they didn't realize when they were writing the show. I'm the city editor. I'm chained to my desk. After the show opened and a number of episodes were going and they felt there were problems with the show, Max Liebman called Grant Tinker and he said, "I think I have a solution." I said, "Yeah, Max, what's that?" He said, "Demote him." Which means that I would get assigned stories and I'd be out and be like Rossi and Billy. But they didn't do that. So we eventually worked our way out. There was a good show where I can't remember the black actors I worked with Vietnam vets. I met him in my neighborhood and came to realize the tough conditions that existed not only for Vietnam vets but particularly for black Vietnam vets. And that was a good show. We did a show on South American death squads. And after I became controversial, we did a show which probably had the worst rating of any Lou Grant show. But this show dealt with a little girl being involved in a school bus accident and being burned very badly. And I think she's sent to the Sherman Oaks Burn Center. And all the treatment and the expense that goes into both saving her life and restoring her skin. And at the time, I think it was figured that the costs were about $100,000. The main theme of the show shows an atomic bomb drill going on in LA, where all departments are performing, and a mock H-bomb is going off. And It was very effective, and by the end of the show, I said 100,000 for the girl. It might have been more. The point was, with that one atomic bomb, there would have been 100,000 people in L.A. who would have required that same treatment that little girl was receiving. And the show did terribly in ratings, but just that aspect of showing what atomic warfare would do in terms of lives and injuries. We did a Karen Silkwood show before the movie. What is the term? I think we lived. Another interesting thing was we do an airplane disaster show, and when the show showed, and an airplane disaster of similar nature would be taking place either just before or right after the show. And it makes you come to realize that it's all cyclical. Yeah. Did another great show where a Pasadena matron beats off a burglar with a golf club, hits front page news. In the meantime, a welfare mother in South Central gets murdered for her check, and it ends up on page 26. And you can understand it's a great triumph when a doesn't matter what color she is, beats off a would-be burglar but the tragedy is that the murder victim, of which it's so common, ends up on page 26. I think all of these contrasts that we constantly showed were meaningful.
You found your stride very quickly after that. Whatever the issues were in the first season, you found a real great niche in terms of the types of shows that you were doing. I watched it just about every week, and it was more All the President's Men than Mary Tyler Moore spinoff, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was a great show. We are just about wrapped up. Thank you so much. This is a real privilege for me and a real pleasure.
My mind.
Since this conversation took place about 10 years ago, Ed Asner's career has not slowed down. He's done movies, TV, Disney cartoons, you name it. He's one of the best, and it was truly an honor to interview him. Till next time, besides Luke Brandt, let us know in the comments what your favorite Ed Asner part was. And we will see you for our next interview coming very soon. See you then. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe. Take care. Don't miss Ask Them Yourself, a live show where you can be part of the conversation at least once a week, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 Pacific.